Hello, fellow lovers of the liminal and the weird, and welcome to another video by Liminal Spaces. Today, I am excited to be continuing the book haul video that I did last time, and I did not expect this to occur. This was a really cool thing that happened. But before I can get into that, I just wanted to talk really quick about the fact that I recently was visited by Richard Rempel from Vintage SF, which was an incredible visit. We had a wonderful time. He only had one day here, but we filled that day up with as much fun as we could. We went to a couple of bookstores. We went to the Petroglyph National Monument, and we recorded the video that you've already seen here talking about Mimsy Were the Borogoves by Lewis Paget, which is C.L. Moore and Henry Kuttner. But my favorite bookstore here in town is the Friends of the Library bookstore. And as you know from my last haul video, they recently had, I think they said they had 2 huge science fiction donations. And at the beginning of that haul is what I showed last video. Well, when Richard and I went down to the shop, they had put most of that sci-fi collection in storage, but they brought over all the boxes, about 10, maybe even 12 boxes of sci-fi that they had donated recently. Let us go through and pick out of them. The paperbacks were $2 a piece, and the hardbacks were $3 a piece, and I got some incredible stuff. So I'm going to go over the rest of this haul. This haul blows the last haul away, and the last haul was really good. But yeah, this one is a level of epic that I can't even begin to describe. You'll see as we go along. Stick around. I got a set of books, a tetralogy that you all know and love, and I cannot believe the books that I found. So keep watching. All right, we'll start with some quick horror stuff. I did get Hauntings and Horrors, 10 Grisly Tales. Really, truly, I got this for that crazy cover. The hand with the candle in it. It's not going to tell us who did that wonderful cover, but it's got Robert W. Chambers, Julian Hawthorne, Ray Bradbury, H.P. Lovecraft, Robert Bloch, William Hope Hodgson, Clark Ashton Smith, W.C. Murrow, Ralph Adams Cram, W.E.P. French. I know about half of those writers, so I'm looking forward to this. I also got a really nice copy of Graham Masterson's Death Dream. Look at that cover. It's completely unbent spine, probably unread. No, I think it's been read before, but really cool old 80s cover. I got more of these short horror story books that are selected by Marvin Kaye, and the jackets are done by Edward Gorey. This one is Masterpieces of Terror and the Unknown. Was glad to get that one as well. I also got Haunted America, Star-Spangled Supernatural Stories. Another Gorey. So I think I might have the complete collection of these Gorey hardbacks. They're all book clubs. I was glad to get them. I also got, by Marvin Kaye as editor, Weird Tales, the magazine that never dies. So these are stories from Weird Tales magazine. Looks really interesting. Crazy cover, too. I got another one by that was edited by Marvin Kaye called Don't Open This Book. And it has a really cool wraparound art on it. Very cosmic horror, Cthulhu type of stuff. This time the cover's not by Edward Gorey, but I grabbed it just because I think it's a cosmic horror. The only author I know in here is Tanith Lee. Everybody else I don't know. Oh, wait, there's a ton more. Zena Henderson, Yarbrough, Lovecraft, yeah. Just a wild Jay Sheckley, Arthur C. Clarke, Robert Bloch. Even the Nathaniel Hawthorne's in this. Really cool. Oh, Robert Sheckley. Who's Jay Sheckley? I don't know who Jay Sheckley is. This has Robert Sheckley, of course. Robert Sheckley, I know. It ends with Aleister Crowley. Yeah, just a wild looking book. Next I grab, I think it's called Psychogeist. Psychogeist by L.P. Davies. So quite a few book hauls ago, no, it wasn't a book haul. When I was doing my horror library, the letter D, I showed my L.P. Davies book, The Artificial Man. and I didn't have any idea who L.P. Davies was. It was hard from reading the jacket of that book to even decide whether it fit in horror or science fiction. I eventually put it in horror. After that video, and completely unrelated, the Outlaw Bookseller did a video talking about, I think it was the List of Shame video. He brought up L.P. Davies, and he really gave him a glowing review. This is somebody that we absolutely should read. And I love the cover. It's very cool. I've been interested in The Artificial Man, so now I have 2 by L.P. Davies. I don't know which one to read first, but I do want to read some L.P. Davies soon. I got the year's best fantasy and horror. This is the 8th annual collection. I do collect these. I think there's a lot of great stuff in these, and I read them a lot when I was a teenager. So yeah, I'm trying to get a whole collection of these, and I think I have about half of them probably. But there's the 8th, so moving on. I got a book called Millennial Women, including a new novel by Ursula K. Le Guin. I think it's The Eye of the Heron is the... Yeah, The Eye of the Heron is the book. So I grabbed this because I haven't heard of all these writers. Joan de Vinge's in here, who I think is the wife of Werner Vinge. I've heard of her, and then Ursula K. Le Guin. But then there's Cherry Wilder, Elizabeth A. Lynn, Diana L. Parson, and Cynthia Felis. Don't know if I said all those names right. Never heard of those other 3 women, so I'm looking forward to checking this out. Grabbed a copy of Orbit 19. Orbit number 5 has my favorite R.A. Lafferty story in it, so I'm starting to grab these up. Also, Kate Wilhelm's in this, and I'm really interested in her work. Gene Wolfe is in this one. R.A. Lafferty. I don't know which Lafferty story is in this one. The Gene Wolfe is To the Dark Tower Came, which sounds really interesting. And then R.A. Lafferty's story is Fall of Pebblestones. So yeah, any Gene Wolfe or Lafferty I usually grab right up. I think this might be a good find. Snow Crash by Neil Stevenson, a first book club edition. So this is what the front cover of the first edition looked like. Is this good sci-fi? I have no idea. I know I've heard of it, but I don't find it on a lot of people's lists. If you've read this, let me know if this is something I should read. You guys know the kind of stuff I like. Is this up my alley? Will I like this? Let me know. Got another Michael Moorcock. And of course, this is the same... I believe this is the same donator that I got the other books from. So this might be part of the same series. I don't know. But another Michael Moorcock, The End of All Songs. And I grab his stuff whenever I can find it. Especially in hardback. And this kind of classic hardback. Very cool. Got a collection of short stories from Ursula K. Le Guin called The Compass Rose Short Stories. Really good condition. Every one of these books, as Richard and I opened these boxes, we were just shocked by all the unbent, uncreased, beautiful spines that we kept finding. I mean, whoever this person was, they took really good care of their collection. It seemed they really love it, and I'm glad to have found and gotten some of that so that I can continue to love it here in my own collection. The Knight and Knave of Swords by Fritz Leiber. This is part of the Fafford? I don't know. The Fafford and Grey Mouse epic. I don't know. I know that this is very, very popular, very important fantasy. And this is the climax of the story. But I've never read any of Fritz Leiber's fantasy, so I'm looking forward to it. Of course, I don't think I can start here. I think I'll have to start at the beginning instead of at the climax of the story. This next one, Richard just handed to me and said that this is one that I should look at. He says that Outlaw Bookseller speaks very highly of it. I don't know if he had a copy or just thought it was something that I would really love, but that is Mythago Wood by Robert Holdstock. So I don't know what Outlaw Bookseller said about it, but Richard seemed to think that this was definitely up my alley, and reading the synopsis here, it really does sound very cool. So this one's going to be pretty high on my TBR. I'm looking forward to checking this one out. Thank you, Richard, for throwing this my way. I finally got some Thomas M. Dish, Triplicity. I'm looking forward to looking at this. He's a new wave writer that I've heard a lot of great things about. Again, a lot of it from Outlaw Bookseller. So I'm excited to see if this is stuff that's up my alley. There's 3 novels in here. Echo Round His Bones, The Genocides, and The Puppies of Terra. So I'll be checking out one of these soon. I got The Last Defender of Camelot, a Roger Zelazny book that includes the recent video I did called For a Breath I Tarry. That's included in this collection. When I got home, I found that I already had it, so I'll be passing this one along. I got The Best of Jack Williamson, which has a wild cover. This is I love these best ofs just as a way to get to know an author. I believe Jack Williamson is another author that lived out the end of his life here in New Mexico. He's one that we claim, I think. So yeah, looking forward to giving that a look. Ooh, I really loved this one. A Lancer copy of A Martian Odyssey by Stanley G. Weinbaum. This is, in my opinion, kind of science fiction through the lens of Alice in Wonderland, in that it's just a guy traveling around a planet finding the weirdest, most nonsensical things imaginable. It's really beautifully done. I think it's the first story in the Science Fiction Hall of Fame, and I really enjoyed it. It's like an early 30s story, and it's absolutely wild. Definitely worth a read. And then this has other stories by Weinbaum in it, so I'll be looking forward to reading more from this author. So while we were going through the boxes, Richard handed me this, The Instrumentality of Mankind by Cordwainer Smith. And I had forgotten the Cordwainer Smith that I've read, which is Scanners Live in Vain, which I've made a video about on this channel. I absolutely loved it. It's great. And I'd kind of forgotten about Cordwainer Smith, so I'm glad that Richard brought this back up, because I would have just kind of moved past it. But he reminded me of who Cordwainer Smith was, and I was very glad to grab this one. This is another one that Richard and I talked about. Richard, I think, read Rite of Passage because it was in the Ace Science Fiction Specials, Alexei Panshin. And after I heard Richard talk about it, it seemed like somebody that I'd be interested in. I got a copy of this one, and I actually already had a copy of this, but my copy is trashed, and this one is beautiful. So I am very, very glad to have gotten a copy of this. I hear a lot of talk about Barry and Malzberg, so I grabbed this, Malzberg at Large. Probably going to be the thumbnail for this video. Absolutely incredible cover. And I know that creepy dogs do well on thumbnails. I love when they have these still in the books. But yeah, this looks really... it does have one crease in it, but not too bad. Really good condition. I got The Worlds of Fritz Leiber. I might have this in hardback. I'll have to check, but I think I might already have this, but I grabbed it. I love the spaceship art on the front cover, and I have been enjoying Leiber a lot recently. Grabbed a book, The Haunted Earth by Dean R. Koontz. I really enjoyed reading Dean Koontz when he was a horror writer in the 80s and 90s, but he kind of leaned toward thrillers more than supernatural stuff. So he's not somebody that I collect a lot of now, but I do grab his old science fiction whenever I can, and one of these days I hope to read some of it, just to see if he's worth it as a science fiction writer. I think this is something that Richard handed me and said I should absolutely read, and that is Seahorse in the Sky by Edmund Cooper. And this is actually a good time. So Richard brought down a bunch of stuff. First, he just gave me as a gift this incredible copy of The Day of the Triffids. Revolt of the Triffids in this case. It says Day of the Triffids right under it. I am not sure what's American and what's English. I think Day of the Triffids is what he preferred, the Day of the Triffids. This is an old popular library copy. I am just completely jazzed to have. Thank you so much, Richard. This was a wonderful gift. I really, really appreciate it, and I am so much looking forward to reading this. Richard found out early on that I didn't have a copy of this and definitely wanted me to have a copy, so that was very, very cool. Thank you so much. And then Richard and I traded for a couple other things. He had a couple of the Ace Science Fictions. I think this is the second set of specials. Both of them by Thomas Burnett Swan, who is somebody that I am interested in, that I have not read yet, but I think could be a very cool writer. So I'm interested in checking these out. So I got those from Richard. I also got 2 Chad Oliver books. And I'm not sure who Chad Oliver is, but Richard said I might like them, so I grabbed both of these. So good stuff from Richard Rempel over at Vintage SF. Thank you, Richard, for this and for the trade. I really appreciate it. Got a big old stack of DAWs, and I think, so this is, again, probably the same person that donated the other DAWs from the last book haul. So this is just kind of a continuation. I got the Year's Best Fantasy Stories number 12. This is a later DAW release, and I don't know if it was ever released in the original Yellow Spine and this is a re-release, or if we've just gotten so high up. This is number 690. So that's so high up in the DAW that maybe they weren't making them like the old Yellow Spines anymore. It says first printing November 1986, and this has a full number line, so I think this is exactly what it looked like when it came out. I think I have the Year's Best Fantasy Stories number 13 as well. Not in this haul, but somewhere on my shelf. I got this one. It looked awesome, but I'm going to have to actually replace it when I get an earlier one. So this is Wollheim's World's Best Sci-Fi Series 2, which the original title was the 1973 Annual World's Best SF. So I'm going to need that original one. But man, look at the yellow on that. Fantastic. Right away, just looking at this one, I think this is a Kelly Freyas. I am correct. Kelly Freyas art for Mind Ship by Gerard F. Conway. Marion Zimmer Bradley's The Forbidden Tower, a Darkover novel. Cover art by Richard Hescox. Never seen that name before, so that's a first. Ron Goulart, or Goulart, don't know. Calling Dr. Patchwork. The artwork on this almost looks anime. Dr. Frankenstein's 21st century successor. I wonder if that's a Freyas art cover. No, cover art by Josh Kirby. I'm going to learn a lot more about these. I'm going to start, once I start doing my DAWs, we're going to go over, I'm going to look up all these artists and give more interesting information about them as we go through the DAWs in the numbered order. Hopefully soon I'm going to put out a video of 1 through 15. Here's a DAW. Isaac Asimov presents The Great Sci-Fi Stories 1, 1939. This is interesting. I didn't even know this existed. It starts with the iRobot that existed before Isaac Asimov's iRobot by Eondo Binder. And that iRobot had a comma, and the way that Asimov did it was to not have a comma in his iRobot. Yeah, very interesting. Stuff from 1939, I guess. Cool. Ian Wallace, Heller's Leap. Death of a She-Planet. Cover art by Tony Roberts on that one. Tim Huntley, One on Me. After Me, Utopia is Full Up. Cover art by H.R. Van Dongen. There's a cool dragon inside there. Don't know what that is. Ooh, this was a really good one. Jack Vance, The Many Worlds of Magnus Rudolph. Jack Vance is hard to find, so I was happy to find this one. Cover art by David Russell. And the last I got was Dre Prescott 22, A Victory for Cregan. A Victory for Cregan. Cover art by Richard Hescox. So I got some DAWs. Those will go back on the shelf in numerical order. All right, we're now to the stuff that is really the cream of the crop, and there's a ton of it. To start off with, I got a hardback book club copy of the Hyperion Cantos. This is the first 2 Hyperion novels. Hyperion and the Fall of Hyperion. I haven't read Hyperion yet, but I do like Dan Simmons, and I have read some of his horror, so I am looking forward to reading Hyperion. And I just love the look of this hardback copy of it. I got some more Harlan Ellison. I got Pain, God, and Other Delusions. This is definitely a reader's copy, as the back cover has been kind of shredded. It looks like it was stuck to another book, and they didn't come apart easily. So, a reader's copy. Although, even that, I don't know if I will use this as a reader's copy. I have never seen print this small. Like, that is tiny for a novel. That's insane. They may have wanted to make it much thinner, but, I mean, that is tiny. Alone Against Tomorrow, book club edition, with a picture of Harlan Ellison on the back, where it looks like they stopped him in, like, mid-step. That's a cool one. I got Approaching Oblivion by Harlan Ellison. A cooler picture of him sitting in his office. I like that picture better. Again, this is a book club edition. And these are all short story collections. Ta-da! This was cool. I think Richard pulled this first, and I'm surprised he didn't take it. He offered it to me. I think he's trying to be very mindful of space, which is super smart. It's a smartness that I do not have. I mean, honestly, this artwork is so much cooler, but I am so glad to have a hardback copy of this. So this is something I'm going to be reading soon. Hopefully I'll love it. And I know that Virgil from Literally Books wants to talk about this one with me when we do it as well. So I know that I'm going to be doing the third in the Book of the New Sun with Virgil, and eventually next year sometime this with Virgil, I think. So we went to another bookstore in one town over, and I got a couple of things, but these were a little bit more expensive. I got John Wyndham's Chalky, which is the novel that Richard has recommended that I check out next by Wyndham, and this is a UK first edition, and I paid $20 for this. It's a good price. I'm glad to have it. I also found the stuff I never find that I've been jealous of everybody, and I'm finally able to put this author on my shelf. 900 Grandmothers by R.A. Lafferty. Lafferty is so hard to find, and I was so glad to find this, and it's in really good shape. So yeah, I got some Lafferty to read now. Looking forward to that. But that's not the only one I found. I also found Ringing Changes, which is also a collection of short stories. And something has chewed on the back of this, and I'm just going to cut it because R.A. Lafferty is so hard to find. There's no way I'm just going to give up the book. But this also seems like really small letters. Yeah, this seems a little more normal. I don't even know if you can see those. So, I got some R.A. Lafferty. That was incredible. But the first box I opened, staring up at me, was Star of the Unborn by Franz Werfel, which I have not read yet, which is the book that Bookpeeled talked up, and that really the prices went up after that. I already have a copy of this, so I'll be passing this on. And I think Richard has a copy that he's also trying to pass on as well. And now, some of my favorite stuff that I found. I got The Island of Dr. Death and Other Stories by Gene Wolfe. And that truly is the name of this collection, because the main story in this is called The Island of Dr. Death and Other Stories. So this book includes that story, and it includes other stories by Gene Wolfe. So it is The Island of Dr. Death and Other Stories collection by Gene Wolfe. I do not find his stuff very often. I also got Stories from the Old Hotel by Gene Wolfe, a book club edition. I don't usually find anything by Gene Wolfe, and I found 2 collections of short stories by him. Absolutely awesome. But that is not all I found. The coolest thing that I found was The Shadow of the Torture book club edition, in incredible condition. Absolutely beautiful. The Claw of the Conciliator book club edition. Absolutely beautiful. The Sword of the Lictor, the one I'm reading now. Again, just insanely good condition, book club edition. And The Citadel of the Autarch, which unfortunately is missing its dust jacket, which is too bad. But when we went to the other bookstore, the other thing I got from that bookstore was The Citadel of the Autarch, first edition, first print. And I paid $18 for this, which was absolutely incredible. So this will be a reading copy that I'll give to somebody else. And that gives me a complete set. The first edition looks, I know these are book clubs, of the Book of the New Sun. And I'm about 40 pages into that third one. Pretty soon I'll be done. But to really bring it all together, I was hoping to find the fifth in the series, but I didn't. But what I found was The Castle of the Otter. And this is essays about the Book of the New Sun written by Wolfe. And the title comes from The Castle of the Autarch. Somebody misunderstood it and thought he said Castle of the Otter. So that's where the title came from. This is a really rare book to find. Absolutely incredible that I was able to find a copy. So now I have a really good set, and all I need is Earth of the New Sun, or whatever the fifth book's called. I can't remember. And I will have the entirety of the collection. So what an amazing book haul. And I think that is finally the end of that collection. I think I've seen them all and bought probably a third of the collection. It was just absolutely incredible. And it was so fun to be able to look through a lot of it with Richard Rempel from Vintage SF. I've been watching Richard for really probably since early on in his channel, and it's just amazing to meet somebody that has created so much entertaining content that I have enjoyed. So that was really fun. The minute that we started hanging out, we were like old friends. It was great, although he was taller than me and taller than I expected him to be. So yeah, it was great to meet Richard. I hung out with him. I hung out with his wife. They're wonderful people, and I look forward to seeing them again and doing videos with him, and so on and so forth. And there you go. The best haul I think I've ever had. All right. There will be more content. I just finished reading Haruki Murakami's The City and Its Uncertain Walls. I am almost done with Vandermeer's new Southern Reach trilogy book, Absolution, so you can expect those. Plus, I've got some Christmas science fiction stories coming up for the holidays. All right. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you soon.